I agree. We don't want to give away everything, but I've listened to a lot of interviews you've done, and I'm surprised no one else brought that one up because I thought that was pretty awesome. I will mention Henry Winkler, though, because you said he came up to you and told you his stepson was learning how to be a drummer and he's working his way through your book. So
Yeah.
it's got to be gratifying to know that you had such an influence on so many younger players.
Well, I'll tell you, the interesting was when I met Dave Weckl. You know who Dave Weckl is, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so when I met him, he said, I want to thank you for Realistic Rock. I said, why? Because I went through it. I said, Dave Weckl went through my book? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which was crazy, was I met Andrew Dice Clay, and he said, hey, I want to thank you for that book you put out. I said, what book? He goes, that drum book. I said, Realistic Rock? Yeah, Realistic Rock. I said, why? He goes, I'm a drummer. I went through it. I said, get out of here,
Yeah,
I said, wow, that's amazing, all these different walks of life going through my drum book. My drum book was like having another hit record for me. I sold over 400,000 of those books.
That's why I wanted to be sure to bring it up, because it's another aspect of your career. I've said at the very top that you wear a lot of hats, drummer, singer, songwriter, educator, and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I surpassed all of my boyhood dreams of being a famous drummer, other than getting the Carmine Appice story out, like the Gene Krupa story. Everything else I pretty much surpassed. I never thought I'd write #1 songs and, drum books and videos and Guitar Zeus albums. I never ever thought I would be doing that,
Well, we've mentioned a number of great items today. Of course, the autobiography, Stick It, My Life of Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. Also, the 2019 re-release of Guitar Zeus. Instructional material for drummers. I see it's still on Amazon. You can find that stuff in a variety of ways, but as you know, our first choice around here is always going to be to deal directly with the artist whenever possible. So I want to direct everybody to Carmine's official website, carmineappice.com. You can find all the things we spoke about there, plus a lot more, including autographed items, and even Guitar Zeus on vinyl. I might have to check that out myself.
Right, yeah, and you can get CDs and vinyl signed. Also, if they go to merchnow.com, they can get autographed versions of the Guitar Zeus album and CDs.
Awesome. And speaking of Guitar Zeus, we're going to close this out with one of my personal favorite tracks. This is actually the one John McEnroe played on, though he wasn't the main guitarist. But yeah, when I first heard this track, I really appreciated the blending of styles and the freshness and originality we've been talking about. I mean, it sounds like a modern track. What can you tell us about Stash?
Well, Stash, the lyrics basically are about, Kelly was very paranoid about having a stash of pot in the hotel room that I was talking about before. And the maids would come in and they knock on the door and they wake him up. He didn't want to let him in because he didn't want them to steal his stash. So if they came in, he used to go crazy. And that's basically the story. Stevie Salas played lead guitar on that, and John McEnroe played rhythm guitar, and me, Tony. And it's really put together as a real funky kind of, heavy funk kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorites, actually. And if you'll notice in the stereo, in the verses, there's a left snare drum. On the left side, it's a piccolo snare drum. And then in the choruses, the snare drum ends up in the middle, which is a bigger snare drum.
Appreciate that tidbit. I'll listen for that.
Yeah, and it's really, really cool. And I love the track. It's sort of a slowed down salsa groove, is what it is. It's done really heavy and slow in the choruses.
Well, I'm a sucker for the funky stuff, especially when it's done that interestingly. And then after that, there's another track that doesn't quite have the same vibe as the rest of the Guitar Zeus material. It's mellower, but it's a very strong performance all the way around. So after Stash, I'm going to play that one. It's called Perfect Day.
I knew you were going to say that one. That one is like a Beatle track. We have a Mellotron on it, and we have orchestras on it. And it's great. I mean, if that song came out in the 80s with a major label, that would have been a smash, that song.
Yeah, I hear all of the Guitar Zeus stuff, and I go, wow, man, this is like...
Yeah, I know. They're really, really good songs,
This is what I'm saying.
All good songs.
You not only get to hear the guest stars and the great core band, but you get to hear all these new songs you haven't heard before. That's what's so cool. Well, Let me just give you this one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Which, in your opinion, is a better film? The Gene Krupa Story or Black Roses?
Oh, Black Roses. Oh, my God. Definitely the Gene Krupa Story.
Well, when I was doing my research, I found out about this movie, Black Roses, and I didn't have time to find it before we did this, but it sounds pretty crazy, man.
It's a really horribly produced, cheesy special effects heavy metal movie. And they had it on USA Network and a bunch of VH1 and all that played that movie on there. And you had Big Pussy from The Sopranos was in it. That was his first big movie. His first movie, period.
Well, when I heard about it, it's definitely one of those love it or hate it kind of things.
It's terrible, but it's funny. It's entertaining, let's put it that way.
Yeah, entertaining, terrible, but funny. I'm into all that.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Carmine, on behalf of my listeners and myself, I want to thank you for being so generous with your time today and for sharing your experiences with us. And, of course, thanks for all the great music.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you. See you again.
Once again, I want to thank Carmine Appice. Thanks also to Jeff J.K. Northrup and Gino Fratto. Extra special thanks to Ann Layton for her assistance coordinating this interview. Thank you for listening. And now from the epic Guitar Zeus albums, here comes Carmine and Company with Stash. And we'll see you next time.
It's cold outside, and I love it. Just to feel the sunrise upon your face. Nothing but good inside my heart by the sea. It's only for a short while. That's how it's gonna be. 'Cause everybody that I've seen knows needed a little space to find. Time to find what it really means to let your soul unwind. Lord, He knows, and I know I've got faith. Such a perfect day. It's warm inside, gotta hold on to it. Anywhere that I need to go, on that road I'm gonna take it. Yeah, you never have to go too far. You got peace in your own front yard. Troubles, all you gotta do is walk outside. 'Cause Lord, He knows, and I know I'm testing my faith. Such a perfect day. Heaven knows.